So I never filmed an intro for this video, so I'm doing it now, and you're gonna see me looking exactly like this at the end of this video. But hello, I'm Bailey and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be reading some of Gabby from GabbyReads' favorite books of 2020. This has been a long time in the making. You'll see as we get into this that I started this video quite a while ago. But I'm going to roll you to some footage of me watching her top books of the year and then me getting into what I'm actually going to be reading.
My top 5 is The Nesting by C.J. Cook. And I think this one especially blew me away because I had no expectations going into it whatsoever.
So that one surprised me again because I've never actually heard her talk about this. I don't know if I missed that video or what. The chances of me actually ending up reading that are probably pretty high, and it sounds like it's like a thriller leaning towards horror, and she compared it to The Turn of the Key, which I'm not sure how much I like children in thrillers or children in horror, so I would be interested to give that one a try. It was called The Nesting.
Is The Troop by Nick Cutter. I might have pushed a lot of people to read this book this year, and then a lot of people really didn't like this book, and I'm sorry about that, but oh my god, I love this book.
Okay, so the first one I will be reading for sure because it's her top 3 is The Troop by Nick Cutter, and I was expecting this, and I've kind of been avoiding that book even after all of like the talk around it. Some people have really loved it, like Gabby did, and some people really have not loved it, and a lot of people say it's gross, so kind of scared to read that one, but I will give it a try.
Down to my final 2, and I think I have decided that both of these books are like my top 2 books of the year, but I can't pick which one of these is my like actual #1 favorite, so they're just my top 2. So the first one that I want to talk about is The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab. I know a lot of people are going to say this book is overhyped now because...
So this is the first one that I have actually read, and it's The Invisible Life of Addie Larue, and I didn't actually enjoy it that much, so good for her.
My top 2 books of the year is Loveless by Osman. I don't know if any of you were surprised to see this book on this list after I completely bawled my eyes out over this book.
Okay, so her last one is Loveless by Osman, which I kind of forgot about in terms of like it probably being on this list. Gabby cried reading this like earlier in the year, and it is definitely something I'm interested in, and I'm pretty sure it has like a sexual rep. And I did recently read Heartstopper Volume 1, which is also by Osman, and I've been wanting to get into more of her stuff, so I am actually really excited to read that one. So it looks like I will be reading Loveless, The Troop, and then The Nesting. So let's see if I agree with Gabby. So I did just finish part 1 of The Troop by Nick Cutter. So I'm on page like 115-ish out of, I think this is like 350 pages long. And so far we are following, it's basically a Boy Scout troop, and there's 5 boys, and like their troop leader are going to like a secluded island for like a troop trip basically. And they get there, and the first night basically a man shows up who is extremely hungry. The leader thinks he's sick, like there's a lot of stuff going on, and he's trying to keep the boys away from the man but also help this man. And it is getting like creepy, and it is like, in terms of horror, it is like graphic body type stuff. The man is sick and weird things are happening with that, and basically like the scariest thing is they're not sure if it's contagious or what, but I'm assuming whatever this is going to basically overtake all of them. They are supposed to be like leaving the island in a day or 2, so it's the question of like when is the boat gonna come to come get them basically. So it's interesting so far. I'm not sure if this is something that would end up being a favorite. I've not read much horror before, so this is kind of like my first try. I've read like thriller horror, but not like this is like straight horror. So as a first try, I'm not sure if it will hit that hard. There's a lot of story to go, and I am like creeped out. So I just got to part 2 of The Troop, which I think it's 3 parts. I'm about 2/3 of the way through the book at least now. And it's definitely like making my skin crawl. I wanted to say in my first update after part 1 that the beginning of the book does very much talk about the boys and their like group dynamic. There's definitely like people who are more forward and want to be leaders, and there's bullies in the group, and you know, weaker people, and just a lot of different personality types. So it's been interesting to see, you know, in this like bad situation how each of the boys reacts and acts towards the group. But yeah, part 2 definitely had a lot of just like making my skin crawl things. It is body horror. There's essentially something taking over like their bodies, and also there's been quite a bit of like animal mutilation that's been hard to read. So I would say I'm thinking it's good, but not necessarily something that I like. Like, I think this maybe just isn't for me, but I'm not hating it, and I guess we'll see how bad it gets. And I am interested to see like how it wraps up and like just where the story's going in terms of, is this gonna get solved? Are they all gonna die? Don't know right now. I did just finish The Troop by Nick Cutter, and I want to talk about it a little because I think that my rating isn't conclusive of like what I really thought of this. I did end up enjoying it. I didn't love the ending, but I did love kind of the story arc, and it definitely like made my skin crawl. I think that the word squirmy is on a new level for me. And also I ate rice for lunch today, so if you've read this book, that was hard to choke down. But like I said, I didn't love how the ending went, and I just think that this kind of book isn't for me. Like this, it's a body horror, make your skin crawl kind of horror, wasn't for me. But I do think it was a good recommendation if this was something that I thought I would enjoy. So this wasn't like as gross as I was expecting. Maybe just certain things make other people more grossed out. But yeah, I ended up giving this 3 stars. I think that's pretty fair. The only thing I really had to compare this to is Wilder Girls by Rory Power, which, don't get me wrong, these are not like that similar at all. And I gave that book 2.75 stars, which I've scratched the 0.25 stars for 2021. I'm just gonna stick to half stars. But I did enjoy this more than that. So 3 stars, that's what I'm going with. Hello, it is like 3 weeks later. It took me a hot minute to acquire the next 2 books for this vlog, but I finally have them both. I didn't realize that this was basically like an import, so this took a while to get to me. And this one I ordered used from Half Price Books, so it also took a while to get to me, but now I have them both in my possession. So which one do I want to start first? I think I'm actually gonna go with the nesting first, because since starting this video and finding out that I was gonna be reading it, I saw that Erin from Booked and Busy read this also on Gabby's recommendation, and she didn't like it. So now I'm really curious. So yeah, I'm gonna start this, and then I'll probably pop back in and say kind of what it's about once I get a feel for it. So I'm kind of struggling with the nesting, but what this is about is at the beginning of the book, our main character attempts suicide and like goes through a breakup. She's at like rock bottom, so she decides she's gonna lie about who she is to get this nannying job for a family that is building a house at like a really remote place in Norway. And so she gets hired, but also in the family, the mom has recently committed suicide. So there's a lot of talk of suicide in this book, but it is like a creepy, she ends up getting hired, and for some reason the dad says like she absolutely cannot go in the basement. Nobody's allowed in the basement. And then the kids just say like kind of creepy things, and she thinks she hears things in the basement. So yeah, not sure. It is eerie, but I have said before that I'm not the biggest fan of kids in thrillers or horror like this. I don't know. I think it's hard to do it well or in a way that I'm gonna enjoy. So I think I'm kind of suffering through that. And I also think the way that this is written isn't necessarily best for me either. It is kind of one of those books that it almost feels like you're in a haze while you're reading it, like the main character's kind of in a haze, or like everything's not as it seems. So yeah, I'm not sure. It's not terrible, but it is gonna depend on what really happens with the plot with this one for me. I ended up losing quite a bit of footage for the last part of this vlog, so I'm sitting down to just kind of recap what happened and what I thought of the last two books here. And so the nesting I ended up not really updating on anyway because I wasn't enjoying it. This felt very all over the place to me. It wasn't shocking, it wasn't, I don't know, it just didn't have me like on the edge of my seat. I wasn't really into it. So I ended up giving this one 2 stars. And I think again, it is kind of the thing of kids and thrillers not working for me. And then I did pick up Loveless by Alice Osman, and I'm really sad that I lost all my footage for this book because I absolutely love this one. I ended up giving this one a 4-star, but it was a very fun read. And I said that this felt very, like, I could tell that Alice Osman is about my age because she references a lot of things that really hit home for me because it's relevant to like my growing up and my teenage year experiences. But this was an absolutely wonderful discussion on discovering your sexuality, and our main character is going off to college for the first time and she's never been in love, but she never really feels those things towards people, and it's just her discovering herself. And it is very much rooted in like valuing your friendships just as much as romantic relationships, and I thought that this one was absolutely amazing. And then I actually filmed my outro, which I also lost, and I just wanted to mention that I actually get a lot of recommendations from Gabby that are really good, and unfortunately because I didn't super enjoy 2 of the books in this video, I did just want to mention that some of my favorite books I have read on recommendation from Gabby, including Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. I read The One by John Mars on her recommendation, and many others. So I still trust Gabby, but I feel like I learned a lot about what recommendations I should take from her and which ones I shouldn't in this video. So I hope that you enjoyed this, even though it kind of probably feels pieced together funny. But yeah, thank you for spending some time with me today, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye!